Welcome back, everybody. Today I'm checking out Lewis Tomlinson of One Direction fame. Now, I'm really digging Harry Styles' solo stuff. I've not been the biggest fan of One Direction so far, but I've only checked out 3 tunes. But a lot of people have been asking me to check out some of Lewis, so this is what I'm going to do. It's promising already, and I haven't even heard a note. I'm a sucker. I was going to say I'm a sucker for a cinematic visual, but this just looks cool anyway, doesn't it? What did he pick up? A horn bigger than me. Is this going to be a pretty philosophical tune? I hope so. I love those. It's got my attention, I'm intrigued.
When somebody told me I would change, I used to hide behind a smile. When somebody told me I would change, I was afraid, I don't know why. Cause so does the world outside, I realized I didn't read the signs, walking different lines. I know it took a left, trying to make it right. All of these voices, all of these choices, I don't hear them anymore, hear them anymore. When somebody told.
Well, lyrically, yeah, some good stuff to unpack there, isn't there, man? Let's take it back.
When somebody told me I would change, I used to hide behind a smile. When somebody told me I would change, I was afraid, I don't know why.
Yeah, well, when somebody, it's good lines, man. When somebody told me I would change, I used to hide behind a smile. We hide a lot of things behind smiles, don't we? Although, I don't know. I think my go-to is smile. Whether I've got anything to hide or not, But he was afraid of changing, and he doesn't know why. I think maybe I was afraid of changing at some point because we strangely identify ourselves, I suppose, with behaviours or things, right? But we must die and be reborn continually, right? And remove the parts of ourselves that no longer serve us or are holding us back.
Cause so does the world outside, I realized I didn't read the signs, walking different lines.
I've also not read the signs in my own life sometimes.
Trying to make it right. All of these voices, all of these choices, I don't hear them anymore, hear them anymore. When somebody told me I would change, I used to hide behind a smile. When somebody told me I would change, I was afraid, I don't know why. Cause soon as the world outside, I realized, and it's bigger than me. It's bigger than me.
good sentiment, man. It's a nice sentiment. But I missed the bit where he said about the voices. Let me take it back. I don't hear them anymore. So all of these voices.
All of these voices, all of these choices, I don't hear them anymore.
Man, I think I suffered from that. Whether there were like the voices in my head, not like voices, you know, that weren't me. You know, I wasn't hearing those kind of verses, you know, telling me to do stuff or whatever. But just different versions of myself, I suppose. And I was struggling for a long time, you know, with direction and holding on to, you know, what I wanted, or not being able to commit, you know, to action, you know, to consistency, because I would just yo-yo, you know, up and down and left and right about how I wanted to approach things, or, you know, I'd have like ideas to do stuff, but then before I would choose, you know, and dedicate time or energy to something, you know, I was going somewhere else, you know, or sometimes living in a fantasy, or just missing the past, missing making music with some people I really enjoyed making music with, and it's just not healthy, you know. I suppose there's got to be a certain amount of grieving when you lose, you know, friends, you know, bandmates, family, lovers, whatever it is, you know. When relationships end, I suppose the maybe, well, if they were good anyway, you know, there should be a certain amount of grieving, I guess it would be. But then at some point, like, when does that become like counterproductive and like harmful to your life? Pretty quickly, I guess, if you're not careful. I don't know. It's easy to get self-involved, isn't it? You know, or like feel sorry for yourself sometimes. But then I suppose if you've got like something to focus on, it's the same with stopping drinking. You know, like you can't just stop. You know, you need to replace it with something. You know, because what are you gonna do with your time? You know, you need something better to do. Like literally, you need. You know, the devil makes work for idle hands and all that. You know, and for idle minds as well, I suppose. But then that's what I found now is, you know, through the love of a good woman, I suppose, you know, I've become singular, and I can focus, you know, and she makes me want to be responsible, you know, and be a grown up, you know, and be a man, and aim up, you know, and do the right thing always, you know, and be somebody that she can rely on and that people can rely on, you know, that sort of stuff. Why wasn't I doing that to begin with? Why aren't we all doing that to begin with? It's a lack of understanding, I suppose, about how life works or should work, you know. I don't know, thinking, or childhood trauma, I don't know. I'm not sure. Do you know? Are you sure?
Hear them anymore. When somebody told me I would change,
it's easy to get the analysis paralysis as well, isn't it?
When somebody told me I would change, I was afraid. I don't know why. 'Cause so does the world outside. I realize, and it's bigger than me. It's bigger than me. I've woken up from my sleep.
Yeah, I relate to that feeling, you know. You know, we're not a drop in the ocean, we're the ocean in a drop. Everything is connected, isn't it?
So come on, call me liar. Yeah, you're so quick to judge. 'Cause yeah, I might have changed. but everybody does.
But some people don't change, do they, man? Some people never change, but the person that views their life the same, or the person that views the world and life the same at 50 as they did at 20 has wasted 30 years of life, right?
All of those choices, I don't hear them anymore.
I can relate to. I can relate.
When somebody told me I would change, I used to hide behind a smile. When somebody told me I would change, I was afraid. I don't know why. 'Cause soon as the world outside, I break a line, and it's bigger than me. It's bigger than me. I've woken up from my sleep. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than me. Do you ever ask why it's so black and white? How you sleep at night when you're just like me? Oh, 'cause I feel alive now. I realize that the world outside is bigger than me.
So that's like, so before, did he think that he's bigger than everyone? Is that an ego problem? Is that a God complex? Which, isn't a criticism of him if he did feel that, because I think I've been guilty of having my own God complexes, Again, I do have to keep my ego in check, for sure. Maybe the universe has done that for me, because if I'd achieved, great fame or fortune in my 20s, I probably would have thought I was, the bee's knees and all that, so be humble or get humbled, I suppose, by the world.
It's bigger than me. I've woken up from my sleep. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than me.
So, that's Lewis Tomlinson's, my first foray into his solo stuff. This is the title track of his album, was it? How many records has he got out on that then? The good, I would say, is lyrically it's interesting, he's exploring interesting ideas. He wrote this one himself, I'm guessing, right? And I would guess that because it doesn't feel as polished a song, as some of, if it was written by a team of writers or, some of the more prolific, successful writers, I think it would have had a bit of a different feel to it. The second bad, I would say, is the pitch correction, man. And I don't know if some of you Lewis Tomlinson fans are going to come at me and say he doesn't use it, but everyone, it seems, uses it in pop music these days, or almost everyone. And it's a fine line, even like Mick Jagger's, there's hints of it on the last Stones record, which gives it, I suppose, more of a modern feel, but there's a fine line, I think, between using it. I would prefer not to use it at all, right? Because I think it takes soul out of the vocal, but it can be used in instances, and it's subtle, But I could really feel the roboticness on some of those big, powerful lines that he was singing, where it's just so on the pitch, that it takes the feeling and the character out of it for me. And one of my favourite records of recent years is A Heatwave in the Cold North by Reverend and the Makers, and that has got like it all over it, all over his vocal on that record, and and that does grate me a little bit. But the songs, man, the songs are so good that I kind of got past it, you know. But I don't think this is a good enough song, you know. The sentiment is there. I can see what he's getting at, but it doesn't. It's an alright song, isn't it? You know, but it's not a great song, you know. And not every song, I suppose, you do can be great. But yeah, you know, I'm certainly open, you know, to checking out more of his stuff and getting to know what he's about a bit more. But anyway, thanks for joining me, guys. If you stayed to the end, it's a bit of a long one. Love to look after yourselves, because you're important. And aim up, man, aim up. See you soon.